Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Just before we start with the stream, yep, if you've read the title or if you've checked my Twitter, I have taken a minus 16. Um, but I think I need to do it. Obviously, no wild card left. Couple of things to mention as well. So it seems like Salah's benched, as a rumor, which is something that I thought would happen. So Salah's gone instead of Saka. So Salah to Son was one transfer. The goalkeeper move. I don't think I'm not expecting to get plus 4 points on, for example, Neto last week, but the way I see it is that Flecken is probably going to be the keeper that I have to play. 50% chance that Neto plays. Maybe he gets benched again for Travers. So I wanted to take the opportunity to already start going for a double game week goalkeeper this week to maybe, get some points back if I was to take a hit ever for a goalkeeper. And I can recoup it hopefully with game week 37, 38, where Spurs have really good fixtures. As far as the other hits, of course, I went Jackson over Solanke. Now, I think Solanke has one of the best fixtures this week as well. We saw Brighton absolutely get rolled over by City, and Bournemouth still look like a very competent team. I think Solanke is probably going to do well. And Jackson arguably has a bad fixture in the Aston Villa fixture. However, Tottenham at home is a pretty nice fixture for Jackson. And once again, the same logic applies where I think if I take a hit here, ultimately the double will pan out once again over Gaming 37. So when I compare to Slanky, who doesn't double in Gaming 37 either, why not take the double there now? As far as Foden, of course, this was just to replace Luis Diaz. I'm overall not very confident in this Liverpool team right now, and I just think Foden is brilliant. And I also needed, I think, to bench Haaland as well, because I do think that it's pretty risky that he starts. So that's also why I've done that. And then the last one was Eze to Gordon, because there's a doubt with Eze. So taking all the doubt to my team, only Luis Diaz maybe could have stayed this week, but I kind of liked the chance and the opportunity to go Foden and Gordon. So I've taken that opportunity too. So a crazy minus 16, and that's it. The rumor is that Salah is benched, but I can't confirm that. Obviously, I don't have Liverpool sources. I can see it. Do I regret any of my transfers so far? Jenna says, no, actually, honestly, no, because if Salah's benched, I think I'm really happy with all my moves. Obviously, as I said, Luis Diaz might be the one where it's like, okay, he might pop off versus West Ham, a very bad defense. But ultimately, as I said, I think this is a good chance to move into all the assets that I actually much prefer when it comes to the next 3-4 game weeks. And that's why I've moved off of Luis Diaz. And Jackson too, same logic there. If it's once again the situation where, for example, like if you compare, I have not 100% confirmed that Salah's benched. I don't have any inside information over Liverpool. All I can say is that I think there is an account on Twitter called Anfield Insights 9, and they've been pretty reliable so far. So I've seen that they've mentioned that Salah's benched, and that's it. Going back to questions at the top though. Hash88 says, is Maguire starting 35 to 38 game week? I think he should, really. I mean, he's been one of the best defenders. He's a huge attacking threat. If you look at his underlying stats, actually better than Dalot. So I'm pretty confident in Maguire as a pick. Someone asking me if I had Alvarez, would I start him over Haaland? I'd consider it, yeah. Also start Saka or Haaland. Yeah, I think it's a tough situation, right? Obviously, if we knew Haaland starts, Saka's probably going to be on my bench. But I actually think that it's pretty likely that Haaland might be coming off the bench. So I'll just take this opportunity to bench Haaland. So NDM says he's got Van Heck, Gusto, and Burn starting defense. So I mean, Gusto's not going to play. Van Heck doesn't have a great fixture. Burn has a great game. Taking a -8, I think, is justifiable just because Gusto's not going to play for you. Canon says, hey, best replacement for Gusto, already have Burn and double Arsenal. I think just play Burn and double Arsenal. That's it. Bacon Buddy says only a -4, maybe -8 for you. That's fine. Johan, hello. Basileos, nice to see you around. Morning, Fran. Morning, Adam. Morning, Aero Rhythms as well. Psychologically, do you think hits are part of... No, I think it's not a response to Gaming 34. Honestly, it's just it's a double. So half the transfers really were for doublers. So Jackson, for example, Vicario. And yes, of course, I've gone for 2 singlers in terms of Foden and Gordon. But I think when you look at, for example, Gordon's fixture, the golfers as I think that's worth a hit sometimes. Foden as well in terms of that. I just think I was very low in Luis Diaz. So maybe that hit could have been avoided, as I said. But I prefer to take the hits now as opposed to in Gaming 37 because the way my team looks, in 2 weeks' time, I can easily go Trippier and Richarlison. So I can bin off Saka on that game week, and I can go Richarlison, and then I can go Trippier as well for one of the defenders, which is basically going to be Pau Torres. And I think by doing that, I can maximize my team value finally for once this season, and hopefully have a really strong bench boost. So for me, it's induced by the fact that I've got a bench boost in 37. If I didn't have a bench boost in 37, I don't think I'd be taking major hits at all. Crunch time of the season, let's really knock it down. Thank you, Lewis. Hey Ben, is it worth taking -4 Jackson Citizen? Like I've done it, but as I said, I don't expect to necessarily recoup the points, and have Jackson outscore Solanke by 4 points this game week. But it's a good opportunity to sort of take that chance. All right, other questions in chat. BNVR24, hi Fran, your advice worked out last week. Awesome. You sent you a message. Hope you can help again this week. Yep. Is that on Twitter or is it on Discord? If it's Twitter, I can quickly check. J-Wave, I hope you're doing well. Don't have a good defense. Should I transfer out Neto, Ait-Nouri, and Doughty? Think of bringing Foden for Salah 2 for a -8. I think honestly, as I said, I think this is the week to take hits, particularly if you've got a bench boost in the back pocket, because you can at least justify that half the hits that you're taking this week can be recouped on Gaming 37. Because for example, like let's do the comparison again. Vicario versus Neto, Gaming 37. Once again, it's going to be another double compared to a single. Someone like Jackson, for example, same thing with Solanke there too. So yeah, I think if you're going for Foden, at least you've got the argument of Gaming 37. Not to mention that Gaming 36 is really good for Foden as well. And maybe he's already outright better than a bench Salah, for example, in your situation. So I think Ait-Nouri, you shouldn't transfer him out though. I've got to say, J-Wave, I think Ait-Nouri has a brilliant fixture. Luton at home, I wouldn't transfer him out. Neto though, I would consider transferring out. And then obviously you can think about the last option in terms of Foden versus Salah. I think that's quite good. Any leaks? As I said, I think Salah is rumored to be benched, but I cannot confirm that. I'm just gonna pin that message in terms of Salah being rumored to be benched because, as I said, I'm not inside the Liverpool club, so I wouldn't really be able to know. But yeah, actually, Mo Salah's confirmed not to start. More Liverpool leakers have confirmed this, and yeah, there we are. Confirmed Fran is club. Yeah. 2 game weeks to get on 2 goalkeepers to get on a wild card. In my opinion, I think Verbruggen, unfortunately, the dream sort of died with the Man City benching. So in my opinion, it's between Onana, Ederson, Petrovic, Vicario. Those are the only 4 keepers that I would touch. If you really want to go for an Arsenal goalkeeper, I think it's okay, especially if you don't have a bench boost. And I think you can also consider. I think you can also consider Pickford as well, because Pickford, Game Week 37, Sheffield United at home. Next week, or even this week, Game Week 35. But the issue, of course, if you go for a doubler this week, you're not going to go for Pickford, so you're not going to get the value of Game Week 35. So yeah, it's up to you. I think Pickford and Rye are the only single Game Week goalkeepers I'd really consider. And BNVR, yeah, I'm just going to quickly check your message. Chasing Middle League, looking for differentials. How do you feel about Madison over Foden this week? Alvarez over Haaland? And I don't really like Alvarez. If you're going to go Alvarez over Haaland, I'd rather not do it at all. Although I get your point, right? If you're banking that Haaland is back on 36, you can go back into him. But the way I see it, it's you're booking a transfer just with 8.6 in the bank. Personally, I think I'd rather have Foden and De Bruyne than Alvarez and De Bruyne, if that makes sense. So that's the only thing I'd comment with your draft. I just don't generally like Alvarez a lot. And also, if you think about it, I think it could be a huge differential to have Haaland, Foden, and De Bruyne, because many people are going to go one defender, Foden plus Haaland, as opposed to having KDB at all. So the position that you're in, I kind of like if you'd go Foden instead. I'd prefer that. Obviously, that probably means you have to go for a cheaper pick in the forward position, and it might mean that you have to kind of drop Madison. So I know that's tough. Maybe you can't even afford like that kind of structure. But yeah, I just think Alvarez isn't exactly the best pick, and then you'd probably be a little bit upset if you can't react like you if you can't go to Foden on Gameweek 37. I think that's a little bit tighter too. I know obviously your plan is to just go Foden from 37. I wonder who it's for. Um, but yeah, I prefer going a Holland and then just benching Holland, and maybe just starting with Foden instead. Up to you though. Like if you like Madison, I think that's fine too. If you really want to do it, I'd rather, for example, just have Madison in your team, have Holland as well. If you're not gonna have Foden, by the way, like I think that's fine. But I'd rather just go Holland, bench him, just because I don't want you to book too many transfers in advance. You're on a wild card. You don't really want to be booking two transfers immediately, just in case you have to react to situations and things like that. So it's just a point to be made. Okay. Back to questions in chat. Okay, sorry. I was actually checking if we had potential leaks. Wow. Apparently, there's 5 changes in the Liverpool lineup today, so I think no Liverpool players are safe. That's the news that we got a couple minutes ago from Spinal Cop. Um, that's interesting there, isn't it? Because if you have 5 changes, I think Trent has been brilliant, so I think he plays. Robertson could change, in my opinion. Maybe. He's a bit tired, I suppose. You could have a couple midfield changes, and I think Darwin could get benched as well. So Gakpo's a change, Salah's a change, maybe a couple midfield changes. But for me, Luis Diaz is under threat as well, if you want to look at it that way, right? So that's a little bit concerning. David, we're not going to react to messages if you're going to just spam chat. Sorry, mate. Um, that's not what we're here for. Muniz or Haaland? Starting, I would say probably it's a good fixture for Muniz. I'd go Muniz personally. Why did I take a minus 16? Half of it's for doublers. Half of it's because Salah's benched, or I expected Salah to be benched. Not playing for rank, just playing to win a mini league. Is it? Well, I'm playing for rank. I'm taking a minus 16. So how does that make me feel? You're 100 points ahead. Mate, if you're 100 points ahead, you might as well craft a wild card. Genuinely. You might as well craft a wild card. Create the team that you like for this week, Take the knowledge that Salah's out. Make a lovely FPL team. I do think that Haaland's also going to be benched potentially. That's my thought right now. So I put Haaland on my bench. Mateta over Haaland to start. It's a little bit of a tougher fixture for Crystal Palace, but I think it's worth considering it for sure. Porro is central on wildcard. I would say so. I mean, the reason why I've gone for Vicario is because I'm in a different position, right? I think my goalkeepers are much worse than, for example, my Arsenal defenders. Like, I'd much rather play my Arsenal defenders than, let's say, Neto or Fleck in this game week, particularly if I thought Neto was not going to play. Is Gusto not starting? Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed. Unfortunately, he's just injured. Is Holland essential for the wild card? No, I think you can go for De Bruyne variants of a wild card, and that's fine. Thoughts on Trossard? Nah, I mean, I don't have any thoughts on Trossard, really. Foden or Watkins to start, I'd probably go for Watkins. I just think he's at home. He's got a better fixture, to be honest. There's not much differentials, to be honest, for the people who wildcard bench was at 37. I agree completely. For me, I feel like everyone has got the same draft front line 8, right? Like, if I look at my team and the hits I've taken, I'm 7 out of 8 with the wild carders right now. It's only my defense that is, different, because they don't, I mean, wild carders are not going to go for Gusto because they think he's injured, and that's true because he is. Guardiola, I think some people have decided not to go for him or Walker, or well, I mean, some people are going for Walker because recency bias, of course, 2 assists in the previous match. Some people are going to swerve City defense entirely, because I understand historically City defense is not appetizing to own. And a lot of people don't like Ederson. Some people have preconceived thoughts about him, right? So the back line, I think, is where the changes are happening in the wild card. The front line, though, seems to be very, very congruent. So good point. Solanke to Isak for -12. I don't mind it, honestly. If you think Isak starts, why did I choose Foden over Bruno? Personally, I just think that when it comes to Game Week 37, I like Foden's doubles more than Bruno. I think Bruno is also a little bit more expensive. And as I said, if I wanted to save some money for another pick, so let's say on Game Week, 37, if I want to make a transfer there towards another midfielder, I kind of like the idea that I can go Trippier with Richarlison as opposed to go for Bruno plus someone else. So that was sort of my prevailing thought there. What transfers have I made? I would say check my Twitter to very quickly see what's up. But okay, let's just do it one time for the one time. Neto to Vicario, Salah to Son, Luis Diaz to Foden, Eze to Gordon, and Solanke to Jackson, -16. -8 Saka to Foden. I would probably keep Saka, to be honest. I don't think it's really worth a hit, because I think Saka starts. For example, if you're taking, I would be taking Salah out instead. Mr. Feather says, I'm 27k rank, wildcard activated for bench boost 37. My drop, yep, yeah, I agree with you. Mrs. Jackson captain. I'm sorry. Okay, interesting. George Goter says, take another -4 to take. I would look. It seems like Salah's benched. I would probably take the -4. Thoughts on Bruno? He's a wonderful pick. No complaints with Bruno. Would you rather Dalot and Burn or Shaw and Maguire? I would prefer Shaw and Maguire. Just because I think both Shaw and Maguire actually have attacking stats that are better than both Burn and Dalot, respectively, right? Maguire actually has really good expected goal involvement per 90 compared to Dalot, and Shaw the same thing there. He also takes a lot more shots just naturally compared to Burn. So, aside the fact that obviously Burn's a taller man on set pieces, I think Shaw also takes a lot of pot shots, which is very helpful. Jay says, love your big hit at the rank. Have a goalkeeping dilemma. Have Neto Kaminsky. I think a -4 for a goalkeeper is totally fine. Ederson is probably not worth it as a goalkeeper, just in the sense that this week he's also away from home, and he just has a single game week. I'd probably go for a doubler. If you don't have Porro, I'd probably go Vicario. If you have Porro, I'd probably go for Petrovic. Sell Saka for Bruno or Luis Diaz to Foden. I'd probably go Luis Diaz to Foden. I think I'd be pretty high on keeping Saka for now, because obviously you get Game Week 36 Saka as well. Is Haaland out? I'm not sure. I put him on the bench because I think that he might be on the bench. Am I not captaining Son? Not right now, no. That's I think Palmer should start, and I think Palmer is the best captain. Dalot would be the better choice for Sheffield United than Maguire. Give United will be on the attack a lot. Yeah, but you have to also think that, for example, if that's a United gets set pieces, right, Maguire is the main set piece threat as well. So, I mean, that's borne out over the course of the season. Can I show an updated wildcard draft, please? We could have a look at it. Why are people asking him if he's taking hits to game rank? Well, I'm not taking hits necessarily to game rank this week. The whole point of taking hits is that also you need to think about future game weeks too. So it's like, ultimately, I'm playing FPL until Game Week 38. So, when Game Week 38 is over and these hits don't work out, that's that. But just taking, making my transfer plans now. Gordon or Jackson, I'd still prefer Jackson personally. Bruno or Gordon, I'd probably go Gordon just because Sheffield United at home is such a good fixture. Palmer triple captain, or should I wait for Haaland double? I think Palmer triple captain is fine. Because, well, I mean, it depends. Do you have a bench boost? Because if you have a bench boost, I would probably use the Palmer triple captain now. You still have triple captain. What game week? As I said, I would triple captain now, guys, if you have a bench boost on 37. If you don't have a bench boost on 37, I think it's a 50-50 call. It's really up to you whether you're confident about Palmer. Palmer obviously just came back to training, so maybe his minutes might not be amazing. But also you could argue that even, for example, even Chelsea or Tottenham's fixtures could arguably be a little bit better on Game Week 37. Gordon or Foden priority? I'd say Gordon, just because Sheffield United at home, you probably don't want to miss out on that fixture. Hit for Solanke to Isak. I think that's fine. Norbu. Pickford or Jose Sa. I'd probably start Pickford, right? He's at home. And just playing for a much better defense. Carl says Salah to Bruno / Gordon, or Bradley to Burn. I'd probably go Salah to Gordon and Bradley to Burn. Just because, as I said, Sheffield United at home, target that fixture. Why not? How far did I fall in my leagues? I mean, I wouldn't know. I fell obviously really, really hard, and obviously the -16 is going to take me down further. So, but that's not really the point, is it? Would you go Son captain if I were chasing rank? I'd probably do it. Yes. Can I leave Haaland out in wildcard draft as maybe he could be rested for champ? There's no Champions League, by the way. City aren't in the Champions League. Real Madrid knocked them out. But I think Haaland should be back next game. I'm not talking about the Nottingham Forest game, but the game after that, which I think is West Ham, isn't it? Or am I wrong? Sorry, it's Wolves. What was I thinking? Oh, right. Chelsea have West Ham, of course. Sorry. Johnson, Dayan, or Madison? I think I prefer Madison or Johnson. I think Johnson is worth it if you can kind of squeeze in, some value with a cheap pick. But obviously, Madison's probably the safest pick. Is Verbruggen still a good pick? No, I'd probably swerve over him. Please answer. You've no MBs. What does that mean? Sorry. I'd probably just I'd prefer Johnson as a punt, but I think Madison's the safest pick. Triple captain Son. I mean, if you're chasing your mini leagues, I don't think it's an awful idea. Start Mateta. I think it's not a bad idea. Salah's bench. Yep, that's the rumor going around, and a lot of Liverpool leakers have confirmed it. Do you prefer Branthwaite and White or double Arsenal? I think Branthwaite and White is a little bit more fun. Because I think the reason why Branthwaite and White is a bit more fun is because you kind of have a differential against, the people who are not wildcarding as well. So it's something to think about too. Start Højlund or Haaland? I would start Højlund. I mean, he's Burnley at home. I don't know if Haaland's going to start, so I'd probably take that chance. Should I triple captain Palmer? And yeah, I think it's totally fine to triple captain Palmer. You're ahead. Palmer is better than Son for the first fixture, but it seems that Son is considerably more likely to score in the second fixture. Why do we say that, though? Tottenham at home is such a good fixture. I'm not really sure if I agree with that, to be honest. Why is Tottenham at home a bad fixture for Chelsea? Tottenham have been such a poor defense. You don't have Newcastle players. Do I get him for hits? I mean, you can go for some Newcastle players for hits. We can go for a wildcard draft for now, though, just because some people are asking about it. So let's just do it now. Probably this front line. I'd probably go Bruno, to be honest. I have a little bit more transfer value than most people, so maybe you can't afford this. Do let me know if that's the case. I'll suggest some downgrades as well. So I think that's the front line, most likely. Back line, I think we go Burn. Maybe Brandt. And then we have enough money to go Porro, of course. So you get triple Spurs here, triple Chelsea. Obviously, you can't go Guardiola. So I'd go White here, probably. I think this draft is quite nice. So you have double Arsenal defense, which I think is very strong. Obviously, it makes it worse on Gameweek 37. What am I missing out on here? I think you've got triple City, you got triple Spurs, you've got... No, you don't have triple Spurs, I see. This could also... I mean, maybe if you don't go Van de Ven, you could go Van de Ven as well, right? It's not awful. If you want to go triple Spurs. But personally, I think I prefer Branthwaite. Or Maguire as well, actually. Maybe we just pick Maguire. I think Maguire might be the one. You could also just go Vicario. Like, if you're more confident in... For example, these are Chelsea's fixtures towards the end of the season, right? I'd say West Ham's a good game. Bournemouth's a good game. Even Brighton away is a good game. Nottingham Forest is probably a good game as well. So actually, it's only this week that's really bad. Vicario-wise, it's interesting. So Sheffield United, amazing game. Burnley at home, amazing game. Pretty bad fixtures outside of that, but good opportunities to get save points. So it really is coming down to whether you think Petrovic will keep his spot in the team. Like, if you have a concern that Petrovic can't keep his spot in the team, then of course you can go Vicario instead. And I think that would be... It feels safer, right? Because then you don't have the issue where, okay, let's say you want to go triple Chelsea once again and you're blocked because of Petrovic. You won't have that situation arise. So I think something like this is fine. These are the kind of drafts that I quite like. If you wanted to go a little bit more aggressive, I think some people are planning to do something like going for Madison, maybe going Petrovic as well. This way you can actually maximize on the full amount of doublers that you have. If you want to go Gabriel to White, you can do so. So this way you have triple Chelsea, triple Spurs, triple Newcastle. The only issue, of course, is that I don't really like the fact that you're, not maximizing on City. Another draft that I think we can play around with is, let's say you go for De Bruyne, which I think probably drops Bruno, if I'm being completely honest. If you can afford a draft as crazy as this, this is not awful either, right? You kind of replace, I guess, your concern over not having Foden by having this draft instead. Now, if you wanted cheaper goalkeepers, I think obviously Onana is probably, unfortunately, the one that you have to go with. Like Onana, Petrovic might be the combination. This should still give us Foden, right? So if you don't like Madison, if you don't back Spurs as a team, generally speaking, you can also go for something like this too. So I think there's a lot of variations you can play with, and these are the more differential variations. As I said, if you're going for De Bruyne and you're dropping someone like Bruno, which I think is interesting, and you don't really like Everton or City defense rather, I think these are combinations of drafts that are interesting. I don't really love double City here, so I would be the type of manager who probably swerves that personally, and I'd still probably go for Branthwaite at this point, just because I don't want to double up on United. But at the same time, the only time you're going to double up on United is going to be the double. So let's say you play your defense this week, it's probably going to actually be Porro, Burn, and Maguire, right? So something to think about as well. And the alternative, I think, draft 2 is something that I liked myself, is let's say we go for Bruno, and we drop Gordon. You can be tempted by a Johnson punt, if that makes sense. So you can go back into your Edersons of the world, triple up on City there, maybe go Vicario as well if you don't really mind spending extra money on a goalkeeper. Oh, sorry, not Vicario, of course. You just keep it on Petrovic, or you go Onana as well if you don't, once again, back Petrovic's minutes. So this isn't awful, but it's also like you'd be saving, well, for me, I'd be saving money in the bank for Trippier because I can afford Trippier later down the line. So some people might just have to go for Schär, but as you can see, I've got money in the bank for Trippier. So I don't really mind whether I go Burn or Schär. I mean, you can go Schär, obviously, just to sort of spend the money that you have in the team. But that's pretty much it. These are the sort of thoughts on wildcard. As I said, I think later down the line, you kind of want to keep an open eye to, do I want to save enough money so that I can go to Richarlison? Something like that is quite interesting. So that's kind of why I prefer going for players like Burn and Maguire, because I think that they're still amazing pieces that you can own from a defense that don't lose you too much value compared to their competing picks. And the competing picks are Schär and Dalot. I actually prefer both Burn and Maguire. And if you have enough money in the bank to go Richarlison, then that could be a very strong sort of upgrade on the draft. But yeah, I think that's it in terms of wildcard. I don't think I'll share any more thoughts on wildcard. We can go back to chat questions. I'm sure I've missed some super chats as well. Apologies about that. We can go back to reacting to the super chats now. So we had a super chat from Mostuif. Thank you very much. Lewis out for Guardiola or Eze out for Gordon on a -16. I think Eze out for Gordon is the better play. Anytime you can move into a guy who plays against Sheffield United at home, I would take that opportunity instead, right? And much better to have Guardiola later down the line if you're not concerned about taking Lewis out of your team. As I said, Gordon is just an amazing fixture, so I'd probably take the hit for him. Or are you saying that? Yeah, no, sorry, you did ask or. -16, look, as I said, it's somewhat justifiable, right? We have a lot of issues as a non-wildcarder. Salah being benched is one of them. Generally, of course, can you be confident about Salah's minutes towards the end of the season? Probably not now. I mean, you've already seen 2 benchings, and Lewis out. Yeah, I think Lewis out makes sense in the sense if you have to play Lewis, you probably don't want to. But yeah, I think I'd still prefer the upside of Gordon because it's very likely that both Eze and Lewis don't play or start rather. All right, back to chat questions. Apologies about missing out on a fair bit of chat. Salah's benched. Yeah, I think so. Start Mateta. I think so. If, of course, it's between Haaland. Dan Watson, thank you for your super chat. Hey, mate, bench 1, Reguilon, Saliba, Gabriel, Schär. Definitely not Schär. Definitely not Gabriel. I think it's between Reguilon and Saliba. Now, Reguilon is obviously away from home versus Everton. Saliba's away from home versus Tottenham. I think I would actually probably go for Reguilon and maybe bench Saliba. Because Reguilon's just become such an attacking player as of late. Garnacho to Gordon for a hit. I don't think so. I'd play Garnacho 100%. Rashford is out. Garnacho is a very, very good pick. No reason why you need to go to Gordon if you have Garnacho. Any news on Luis Diaz? I don't have any news on Luis Diaz, unfortunately. I can quickly check if there's any leaks potentially with Liverpool, though. So let me just quickly have a look at potential leaks, guys. So all we can see is that Salah doesn't start. I don't know about Luis Diaz, but people have said that. I think people expect that the lineup is Diaz, Gakpo, Elliott, which means that obviously Darwin's benched. I think Diaz should play. Luis Diaz should play, guys. Apparently it's Gravenberch, Endo, McAllister, Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Kwanzaa, Trent. Yeah, as I predicted, a Robertson sub, a midfield change, a Gakpo and Elliott change. So that's it, really. Hopefully that's the correct lineup. I don't know if that's the correct lineup, guys. But that's the information that I have. But definitely Salah is confirmed out. Everything else I can't be sure of. Konate or Gabriel? I'd play Gabriel because I don't think Konate is going to start. It seems like the person who's actually going to start is actually Kwanzaa. So actually that's another change as well, isn't it? So on the topic of 5 changes. Zimmy, thank you for your super chat. Fran, -12 to bring in Shar, Gordon, Isak, Bruno for Kiwior, Salah, Darwin, Madison. I don't really like going out of Madison personally, mate. But I think if you can avoid the Madison move, I would avoid the Madison move. I would much rather you go for a -8 there, and take out Kiwior, Salah, and Darwin personally, because Salah, Darwin are benched. So I think it justifies the hit for you. Thank you for the super chat, though. And yeah. Okay, start Gabriel or Doughty. I'd probably go Gabriel. I don't think it's really much of a question, right? Like Luton defenses are so bad. And it's not like they have a double game week. Sorry if you answered this already, but Gordon or Foden for this week, I would definitely go Gordon just because Sheffield United at home. Maguire or Van de Ven bench this week, I would probably go Maguire bench. I mean, if you're gonna go Van de Ven, like why not? Why not just try and chance a double? Bench boost this week or game week 37. I'd go game week 37. Isak triple captain. I probably wouldn't do it. I prefer Palmer triple captain. Vicario or Jackson on a -12. I think I would go. I'd go Jackson first. Fran, who would you start? Dubravka or Petrovic? I would actually... Ooh, tough question, actually. I would actually go... I'd chance it with Dubravka, to be honest. Yeah, I'd probably chance it with Dubravka. I don't think that's the right decision. Like, in most cases, it's a doubler, to be honest. Has Neto lost his place? It's tough, right? Bournemouth are in a position where they're kind of mathematically safe. So... the question, I suppose, is whether they're playing Travers for the future, and I think it's possible. Like, I think we can say that Neto just hasn't retained his place, So I would be a little bit concerned about that. Abdullah says Garnacho to Gordon or Fernandes for a -4. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, Abdullah. I'd keep Garnacho. I think, as I said, Rashford is out, so Garnacho should play 90 minutes of football. If you told me Garnacho's going to play 90 minutes of football, is it worth taking a hit to go Gordon Fernandes? No, I would say no, genuinely. Because Garnacho is going to be a huge piece to your Game Week 37, bench boost as well if he continues to stay fit and plays, part of this team. So I'd keep Garnacho. If it seems like Garnacho's losing minutes, when Rashford comes back in the team, and Anthony, of course, is taking his minutes away and Rashford's fit, then of course you can go Garnacho out in Game Week 37. But for now, for this game week, I think he's very, very safe, and I wouldn't, take the opportunity to take Garnacho out of my team. Dan, hey mate, bench 1, Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Palmer, Salah, Gordon, Solanke, Isak, Darwin. Yeah, 100% Darwin, mate. Darwin's actually confirmed. Well, the predicted lineups that I've seen so far is that Darwin is out. And if you think about it, Darwin and Salah were the 2 players who played exceptionally poor in the previous match versus Everton, right? Gakpo, his child was being born, so that's why he missed out on the fixture. But actually, the predicted lineup on the day, I think, was that Diaz was out. But because Darwin played so bad and he started that game, I think now it kind of justifies the Darwin benching. So the predicted lineup that I mentioned actually has Diaz, Gakpo, Elliott up front. And for that reason, of course, Darwin just has to go to the bench for you. Everyone else in your team is, like, for me, going to start the fixture and has a great game. So, yeah, I would enjoy that, Dan. Fahad says, should I risk taking a -8 to replace Salah and Tony with Gordon Isak? Honestly, I think this is a good opportunity to do so. Tony's minutes are very vague. We don't know exactly what's going on with Brentford and what they're planning and cooking up with Tony. There's been news about the injury, yes, of course, but I also think that, Tony is sort of on his way out of the team. I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on. Whereas with Isak and Gordon, I feel like I trust their minutes more. Now, with Isak, I guess there's a small asterisk of, what happens if Callum Wilson's ready to start? Does he start over Isak? I don't think that's going to happen, but of course, something to keep in mind. However, Gordon, I think, is a great move regardless. When do you plan to free hit? That's a funny question, mate. I already free hit it on 29. Is Salah benched? I think so, yes. Pretty much everyone has confirmed that Salah's benched. Start Dallo or Branthwaite? I'd go Dallo. It's Burnley at home. I mean, really, really good fixture here. Best wildcard chase option. Chase option. I think De Bruyne. De Bruyne's the differential, the wildcard. Like when I look at all the attacking front lines with all the wild cards, I have to say that De Bruyne's the only pick that I don't see there that could be very interesting on a wild card. So for me, he would be the chase option. No spam in the chat, guys. Just give everyone a chance to get their messages in so I can respond. Start Zabarnyi or Senesi. I'd go Senesi just for the attacking upside. Johnson for Bruno or Foden. Nah, I would probably keep Bruno and Foden, to be honest. Unless you're really seeking a differential, and let's say this isn't the best Foden fixture, right? So obviously Johnson might be clear of Foden for this game week, but yeah, I think if you're comfortable with booking a transfer in advance, that's fine to go Foden later down the line. But yeah, I mean, Johnson's probably the only person I'd think about with Foden, but not Bruno. I'd probably keep Bruno. Would you keep one Arsenal asset in defense? Yeah, I would think about it. Yeah, I'd probably go get White. Probably would be interesting. Pickford and Walker or Ederson and Branthwaite? I would actually probably go Ederson Branthwaite, right? Because Branthwaite, he's got the attacking threat of being in goal. Obviously, Pickford has save points. Ederson doesn't necessarily, but with Walker, I think he can still get benched one game before the season ends, right? Before they actually win the title, proverbially. So that's something to think about. And so, yeah, I'd probably just go Ederson Branth. And hopefully that combination might be a little bit cheaper as well. Sell Salah to Son, I think it's justifiable. Could you rank the City defenders? I think, look, it's Ederson first for me, just in terms of safety of minutes. Then I would actually say it's probably Walker. And then I think Akanji and Guardiola, I think I'd say are pretty mixed. And I think that's it, really. I probably would actually swerve Ruben Diaz. Play Van Heck and have Gusto first bench or take, excuse me, Carl. I think I'd take a -4 for Schär. I think taking a -4 for Schär makes sense. Like Van Heck, I just don't see any values to this fixture here. At least with Schär, you can hopefully recoup a lot of the hit. Honestly, if you guys can't afford like Isak and Jackson, I would just go João Pedro. Like I wouldn't go Højlund. I honestly would swerve Højlund. He's a pretty boring pick, in my opinion. And also João Pedro's a penalty taker. So would you play Luis Diaz or extra hit for Fran? I think it's close with the extra hit to Fernandes. I'd probably just play Luis Diaz because he's starting. Saka or Odegaard, I would definitely I would actually probably chance Odegaard right now at this stage of the season if you're looking for a differential. Laura, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think Dubravka will play double game week? It's a tough question, right? So initially when we got news about Pope and his injury, we thought that he would be coming back at the end of this month. Now it actually seems like Dubravka is going to continue playing. And of course, the double game week is pretty close. So I would say that I think it's more of a 50-50. I think Dubravka is very likely to play the Game Week 37 fixtures because it seems like we haven't heard a sniff of Pope, right? Last week, for example, we got the news that Callum Wilson was in training. He was pictured in training. With Pope, I think they're just going to take precautions. I think Dubravka is actually going to play Game Week 37, most likely. If you had to push me to an answer, just because I haven't seen any information, any updates about Pope. Foden or Son for Salah? I'd probably go Son. Solanke or Muniz to start? Definitely Solanke for me. Does Saka to Foden Game Week 37 make sense? I think it makes sense, 100%. E7 says, I'm on a wild card currently on Guardiola Dallo. Would you do that? I would actually prefer Maguire Walker, I think. You can see, for example, how important Walker is to the team because he got rested as well within the City game versus Brighton, right? He was one of the earlier substitutions, and not because he was playing bad, he was playing brilliantly. And of course, he also played a very exhaustive role, effectively playing right wing. On top of that, too, I think Maguire actually has better underlying stats than Dallo, so something to think about. If you have the money, pick one, Guardiola Walker. I'd probably go Walker. Tarek says, thank you for answering. Who should I start this game week, Maguire or Brandt? I'd probably actually go Maguire, to be honest. It's Burnley at home. Burnley are one of the worst attacks within the league. With Brentford, one thing I'll mention, obviously, despite Everton being so much more of a better defensive team, than United, is that ultimately Brentford, of course, are a much better attacking team than Burnley. So for me, I'd take the chance with Maguire. And he also has a lot of goal threat as well, right? Equal to Branthwaite. CMC Wookie, thank you so much for your super chat. Start Dallo versus Burnley home or Guardiola versus Nottingham Forest. I would actually probably go Guardiola versus Nottingham Forest away. But it depends on how high you are on City defense. I think ultimately, of course, as I said, the worst attacking team is Burnley, but Nottingham Forest have proven to be one of the worst attacking teams as well. And of course, Man City, so much more better of a defense. than United. So I would actually take Guardiola in this opportunity, but it's close. Zane, thank you for your super chat as well. Your question was, hey, bro, Garnacho to Gordon for a -4. I don't think it's worth a -4, honestly. I think, like, for example, if I think about Garnacho, compared to some of the previous midfielders that I had, right? I had Luis Diaz, I had Salah, who's benched. I had Eze as well, who's very likely not to play. The reason why I've taken hits for someone like Gordon is because all of those picks, I think, are worse than Garnacho this game week, right? Luis Diaz could be an early substitution. You never know. Like, he could be an early substitution for Salah, and maybe things can change around. Like, for example, Darwin can come into the team. Luis Diaz can get subbed off at 68 minutes, right? And Darwin can play left wing. Salah can come in right wing for Elliott. So I don't really like Luis Diaz that much. Whereas in your situation, you've got Garnacho. Rashford is out. So Garnacho for me is locked in to play 90 minutes. I would just play Garnacho in this situation. I think that's totally fine. Eze or Muniz, I'd play Muniz because it seems like there's a huge doubt over Eze's ability to start. And I think he has some injury kind of concerns as well. So, yeah. Laura as well, thank you for your super chat. Branthwaite or Gusto for the rest of the season? I would say Branthwaite, right? Because with Gusto right now, unfortunately, he's already injured for one of the doubles. With Branthwaite, I would say he's been very fit. Obviously, he's overcome a recent minor injury and he's been totally fine. Also scored last week. But in reality, he's been very fit. Gusto has definitely struggled with fitness, right? If you look at the course of Gusto's season, he's been quite injury prone. I kind of regret the Gusto transfer now a little bit. Although I have to say that I think some of the sort of games he's missed due to illness and injuries has been a little bit unfortunate. But, that's the bed that I have to lie in. I think if you have the choice of Branthwaite and Gusto, I would go Branthwaite. As I said, Gameweek 37 is a really good fixture. It's Sheffield United at home for Everton. They're at home quite a fair few fixtures as well. And ultimately, you're probably going to guarantee that he's a cheaper bench option that's going to do well for you. So I really like Branthwaite personally. Just because I think Gusto could come back and maybe Reece James could be back as well, competing with the minutes with Gusto as well. So, another like additional point that you need to think about if you're, let's say, a Gusto owner, which is tragic, but that's the situation we find ourselves in. Start Maguire, Guardiola. I'd actually probably go Guardiola still. So similar question to one of the super chats, but I would probably still back the City defense. Just because Nottingham Forest as well, not exactly a great attacking team. Gordon, KDB, or Bruno. I'd probably take the chance to go KDB. I think his minutes look good for the rest of the season. They're not in Champions League. FPL Tony's put out a tweet. Yeah, I mean, Tony has tweeted that Nunez is out. Yep. Let me see if there's any other additional leaks. But yeah, I mean, Darwin's confirmed to be benched, so obviously that's a big piece of news for you guys out there. Super chats as well from Tanay. Thank you so much. Garnacho versus Muniz to start. I'd go Garnacho. Burnley at home is a really good fixture. I'd take the chance to go Garnacho. I think he's going to play 90 minutes, so I'd go Garnacho in your situation. OP Talent, thank you for your super chat. Already taken a -8. Bench Salah and start Muniz home to Palace, or sell Salah for Bruno, Gordon, KDB for -12. Okay. I would say I'd start Muniz at home. It's an interesting one. Palace are a very good defense. I'd probably take the minus. If the -4 helps you and you've got a bench boost, I would take the -4. If you don't have a bench boost, I would go Muniz. I hope that answers your question. Those twins, thank you for your super chat as well. -4 for Son and Isak. Solanke or Zabarnyi out for whom? So obviously with Solanke, it's Jackson, right? With Zabarnyi, you've got a couple of choices. Like Pedro Porro, I think is the most likely choice. Depending on the amount of cash you have in the bank. I would probably keep Solanke, and I'd probably go Pedro Porro over Zabarnyi. I think that's a pretty nice upgrade. It's close though, so it's Jackson or Porro. I think you can go both directions. I think Solanke just has such a great sort of attacking fixture to take, so I'd probably keep Solanke if I had the choice. Start Garnacho or Haaland, and why? I'd start Garnacho. This was a question from Adam Brennan as well, so thank you for the super chat. I would actually start Garnacho because for me, if you look at my team, right, I think Saka is actually a worse pick than Garnacho this week, right? Saka's away from home. He's against Tottenham, whereas Garnacho is Burnley at home, and he's going to play 90 minutes. I have benched Haaland because I think that Haaland has only been back for training for 1 day. Obviously, it'll be 2 days by the end of this day, I suppose. But I think Haaland's unlikely to start. Whereas I think, you've got the guarantee that Garnacho plays 90 minutes. You've got the guarantee that Saka plays 90 minutes. So in our situations, I think we just play Garnacho over Haaland. Jackson or Gordon, I'd probably go Jackson because ultimately he's got a double. But it's close because I think Gordon just has the best single game week fixture of all time. Really, it doesn't get much better than Sheffield United at home. Porro or Shar for long term, I'd probably say Porro to be honest, because I think with Shar at least you can make the argument that Trippier should be available by game week 37, right? One more question for the upcoming bench boost. J Wavy says, is there anyone I can take out for Doughty who I can use the next incoming? I think Maguire is a good example of a player who's quite cheap. Branthwaite, maybe you can't say it justifies the hit, but I think Branthwaite is very good as well. Van de Ven is not awful. I don't love it per se because I think these fixtures are, for me, the reason why I've gone for Vicario as a pick, right? Because these fixtures are awful for Spurs is that at least he makes save points. If I was to, let's say, go for Van de Ven, it would be hard to justify the move because he doesn't get save points for playing versus top teams. So that's another sort of point where when you're looking for, let's say, a hit for a goalkeeper versus a defender, I think that's quite different. But yeah, I think replacing Doughty at that sort of price point, I really like Maguire. I like Branthwaite as well. If you can upgrade, obviously, with extra cash in the bank for whatever reason, as we talked about within some of the picks, you can still go for an Arsenal defender, or just a City defender as well. Or just and obviously the best pick right for this week is a Newcastle defender. So Burn for me is the most favorite pick that I have. But if Burn blocks you from something like Gordon, Isak, Trippier later down the line, maybe I have to consider that. But I think it's also easy to go from Burn to Trippier too. So I hope that kind of generally helps your decision making. Laura, thank you for your super chat once again. Really appreciate the support. Start Maguire, Branthwaite, or Gabriel. I would start Maguire, right? He's got Burnley at home. Brentford at home is a much tougher fixture in my opinion. Even though Everton has such a good defense and obviously a better defense than United and so are Arsenal, you can make the same case there. But Arsenal away from home too versus Tottenham. So yeah, I'd take the chance to go Maguire. And they're all attacking sort of center backs, with really good set piece threats. So not too much in it between their sort of attacking upside. So I'd probably take Maguire with the easiest fixture on paper. Is Dan Burns sufficient for Gaming 37? I think that's fine. Like, Shar is not that much better at all compared to Burn for me to justify the difference in price. Like, if the difference between Shar and Burn in value can actually get you a better upgrade in the midfield position, a better upgrade in the forward position, I would take that opportunity and go for it. Double Arsenal or Zabarny? I'd go double Arsenal personally. Is Guardiola confirmed to start? No, but I think he's definitely part of the City's best starting lineup. So I would imagine that I would imagine that he starts. Guys, we just got the Liverpool lineup apparently. It's a little bit different from the one that I told you, but the front line is exactly the same. So the lineup that I'm seeing is Diaz, Gakpo, Elliott. So once again, the same front line that we mentioned earlier. Gravenberch, Endo, McAllister, which is the same. But the only change is that Robertson is playing instead of Gomez, apparently. And Van Dijk, Quansah, Trent, Allison are all playing. So Konate's out, Darwin's out, Salah's out, and maybe Robertson's playing. I really can't confirm the Robertson. It seems like... So two different types of lineup leakers for Liverpool have changes on the Robertson position, but all the other positions seem to be confirmed. Gordon or Fernandes, I'd probably go Gordon just because Sheffield United are home for this week. Jackson captain. I prefer Palmer, and that's it. Bring in Son or Gordon. Who do I? What does that mean, Says? Hello, Fran. Son or Palmer for captaincy? I would probably go Palmer for captaincy, but as I said, if you're chasing a Son differential captaincy isn't the worst thing in the world. As I said, for me, Palmer still seems like the best captain. I'd take that chance. But yeah, Onana or Vicario, I'd probably actually go Vicario. Just because I think with Onana, at least you can go for someone like Maguire, who's very cheap that I really like. For example, Van de Ven, I don't really like at all compared to Maguire. Foden or Garnacho for a -4? No, I think, honestly, guys, there's so many of you guys who have Garnacho in your team. I don't think it's necessary to drop Garnacho whatsoever. I think Garnacho is a very good pick. There's nothing to worry about. Sorry, I'm just quickly checking for leaks. Doesn't seem like we have any additional leaks, guys. Apologies about that. Going back to the super chats, though, I think RLH PYRT, Van Hecke and Gordon, or Johnson and Byrne. I prefer Van Hecke and Gordon. I prefer Johnson and Byrne, right? Because at least, hopefully, with the Johnson position, you can replace that player later down the line. Let's say if Johnson doesn't seem to be starting by game week 37, you can just move Johnson to Garnacho and he could work out for the wild card. Whereas I think, Byrne is such a huge upgrade compared to Van Heck. I would go Brennan Johnson and Byrne personally. Yeah, I would actually lean there. Sal, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the super chat. Your wild card team is Petrovic. Who's your second goalkeeper? You said Petrovic, Ait Nuri. I'm confused. Okay, anyways, you said Ait Nuri, Byrne, Porro, Palmer, Son, captain. Interesting. Bruno Fernandes, Foden. I mean, I wouldn't have Olise on the wild card at all. Højlund, Isak. Haaland on the bench at the moment. I think Haaland on the bench is fine. I would not have Olise within the wild card, and that's pretty much all I'll say. I don't know who your other keeper is, but yeah, that's a tough call. I think Laura as well, your question was kind of similar, right? Petrovic or another keeper under 4.6. I would definitely go for Petrovic because, I did suggest for Verbruggen within my wildcard draft video, but I think, seeing the bench versus Man City, it just basically spells out that, that rotation's still going to happen towards the end of the season. So I apologize for that. Probably a wrong take for me, but I think Petrovic is the safest goalkeeper because at least you think that he'd get the double here, so you get the value of it. But even Petrovic is a little bit risky, right? Because at least they've got Sanchez waiting in the wings. But I think Petrovic right now, we haven't seen the rotation before in terms of in the league matches. And obviously Chelsea are out of the FA Cup. I'd go Petrovic with a lot more confidence than any other sort of sub 4.6 goalkeeper. The only other goalkeeper I suppose is Pickford. Like if you are genuinely worried about Petrovic losing his spot in the team, arguably Pickford actually has really good fixtures, right? On 35, competing with the double, he's got Brentford at home, so at least he's at home. So another chance for Everton to show how good they are at home. And then in game week 37, you've got an opportunity to play Sheffield United at home as well. So he's probably the only keeper Pickford that I would consider. Start Flecken or Neto. I would go Neto first because he's at home at least. And if Neto doesn't play, you've got Flecken. Thank you for the super chat, Arnav. Dan Watson, thank you for your super chat. Sell Salah for -4 and bring in Foden. I think it's just about worth it, right? Because Salah's benched. So I would take the opportunity to do so, yes. DS42694, -4 Darwin to Watkins or play Haaland. I would actually go -4. If you want to go Watkins, that's fine. I prefer Jackson. Obviously, Watkins is a much better player than Jackson, but it's just about fixtures for me. So if you prefer Watkins, I think that's fine. I would take the opportunity to go Watkins because for me, what I really regretted last week is somehow I had Haaland and Palmer and none of them played, whilst everyone had better auto subs than me. So, the -4 was a little bit of insurance, I suppose, because I think Haaland doesn't need to be 100% risked and thrown in there. So I can't see that Haaland is 100% going to start. I think it's actually pretty likely that he'll be benched. So I think, having someone to cover Haaland in your team is quite essential this week. Oscar, thank you for the super chat as well. Thank you for your first super chat. Same with DS42694. Salah, once again, Onana is your other goalkeeper, Solanke to Højlund. I don't really like Højlund personally. I mean, I really do prefer Jackson. But I understand if you don't like Jackson, I think João Pedro is actually the player that I would prefer over Højlund. Now, if you need someone to start for this game week, I can kind of understand the reason for going for Højlund because if you're benching, let's say, someone like Haaland, you probably want to actually have someone who's a really good fixture this week. João Pedro doesn't necessarily have a great fixture this week. So that's sort of my opinions and thoughts on those picks. But I do prefer João Pedro as a differential as well. Protagonist says, hey, Fran, who'd you bring in for Salah? Foden, Odegaard, Havertz, Bruno, De Bruyne. I would actually go De Bruyne or Bruno or Foden. I probably wouldn't go for an Arsenal midfielder, if I'm honest. At the end of the day, if you go for Bruno, De Bruyne, or Foden, you've got a double game week in 37 to think about. So what I like about the Man City midfielders is that game week 36 is an even better fixture. Game week 37 is great. So for me, it's between Palmer's benched. Hold up, sorry. I don't see anywhere that Palmer's benched. Simon, thank you for your super chat, but I don't think Palmer's benched. I don't think Palmer's benched. You literally made me. I had to double check, but I don't think Palmer's. Yeah. Okay, Oscar, thank you for your super chat as well. Thoughts on Walker, Pickford, Shaw versus Ederson, White, and who's B? Do you mean Branthwaite? I'm gonna assume that's Branthwaite. I think I prefer Ederson, White, and Branthwaite. Oh, Burn. It's Burn, isn't it? Yeah, I would prefer Burn, Ederson, White. I would actually prefer that if it's Burn. Start Holland or Solanke. I'd probably start Solanke. Start KDB or Holland. I'd start KDB. Salah bench. Yep, Salah bench is confirmed. Darwin bench is confirmed as well. Start Holland, Solanke. Once again, Solanke. Which is the best City defender to go to? For me, it's Ederson, then probably Walker. So De Bruyne over Foden. I'd probably chance it on De Bruyne, yeah, just because additional set pieces. Well, actually, Foden takes a lot of free kicks nowadays, so I think it's close. You either go Foden or De Bruyne. I think Foden's safer because I think he's younger and he's fit, like more fit than Kevin De Bruyne. So I'd probably go Foden actually. Stefan, hi Fran on wildcard. Would you go Van de Ven or Maguire? I would go Maguire 100%. Marvy says, I have Bruno, KDB, Foden, Palmer, Son. Should I take out one for Gordon? I think you can actually keep that team. Like, you don't necessarily need Gordon just because. So I think it's fine if you've got the 5 that you have, Marvy. Amen says, should I get Jackson for Morris? Yeah, I think that's -8. Yeah, I think that's fine. Starting him over Diaz is also fine. Like, Morris isn't going to be a part of your bench boost, is he? So it's fine to go out of Morris. Start Holland or Mateta. I'd probably go Mateta. I mean, I think Holland's benched, so I'll take that chance. Salah is benched. Yeah, that's confirmed. Bench Salah or Holland. I'd probably bench Salah because he's actually confirmed to be benched. I don't know about Holland. KDB for a differential, fair enough, protagonist. Latest on Holland, Rafa K. Start Muniz over Holland bench. I think you kind of have to start Muniz over Holland bench. Yes, that's correct. The latest that we got on Holland was that he was in training yesterday, but remember that usually, Pep doesn't play players immediately after they come back from training. So I think because you've already seen players like Alvarez, and even, for example, let's say De Bruyne and Foden playing as 9s at times, deputized over Holland, I really think that it's pretty risky that we think that Holland's just could be suddenly thrown in there if he's coming back from an injury, coming back from not training an entire week. So I think Holland's probably going to be benched, but I can't confirm. I would say it's like 75% from my perspective. That's why I've taken an additional hit so I could bench Holland, right? Angel and Soul says, who shall I start? Zabarnyi or Virgil van Dijk? I'd probably bench Virgil van Dijk. Like, the Brighton team's pretty toothless right now. I think João Pedro's their only consistent good attacker. 2 minutes to the deadline, guys. By the way, please make your moves. I'd probably go Zabarnyi just because he's at home as well. And honestly, Liverpool have been really awful recently. Should I start Branthwaite or Van de Ven for the double? I would still go Van de Ven, chance it on the doubles. João Pedro or Holland to start. I would go João Pedro. Start Semenyo or Holland. I think Semenyo's at the point where I'd probably just consider starting Holland instead. Start Virgil van Dijk or Branthwaite. As I said, I'd go Branthwaite. Start Petrovic or Raya. I would go Petrovic for sure. Do you think Holland will stay on the bench? I can't confirm. I think he could cameo. 100% he can cameo. Maguire, Walker. Are you talking just wild card? I think, or starting this week? I would start Walker probably. Get my messages in. Yep, absolutely. Gabriel or Nuri. I'd probably go Gabriel still. Is Palmer playing? Yes. Don't worry about Palmer. Yep. Start Sarabia Mateta. I'd probably go Sarabia just because he's Luton at home. Sarabia Holland. I'd probably go Sarabia once again. Gabriel Saliba. I'd probably go Gabriel just for the attacking threat. Gonna make that transfer for Burn next week. That's fine. But obviously Burn I think is a much better chance for this week if I had to sort of be honest, right? At home versus Sheffield United, it's worth a hit sometimes. Thank you all. Is Salah starting? No, Salah's benched, guys. Salah's benched. 2 seconds to the deadline. Lock in your moves, please. And good luck. That's it. I've locked in. This is the first time in my FPL history that I've ever taken a -16. So I'm sure it's going to end out awfully. And I'm sure I'm going to drop extremely in rank. But I hope you guys have a wonderful game week. Take care, guys. Henry, thank you. Lucas Vasquez or Neymar? Lucas Vasquez, of course. I mean, one player is playing, elite top division football. And the other person is sitting out with an injury in Saudi. So thank you, Laura, once again. Really appreciate all the super chats in the stream. Thank you so much for the support. I hope you have a lovely game week, and I assume that you're on the wild card as well. So best of luck to you as well. All the wild carders as well here on the chat. Good luck to you. Which transfers did I do to get -16? Have a look at my Twitter. Okay, fine. Let's just do it. So I did Neto for Vicario, Salah to Son, Luis Diaz for Foden, Eze to Gordon, Solanke to Jackson, and that's it. just the 5 transfers. Maguire and Arsenal defender. It's too late, my friend. But I would have gone for probably Maguire. Next week's plan: roll. So after you take a massive fat hit, roll. And then Gameweek 37, my plan is to go Richarlison and Trippier. Soldier Boy says Fran can help me bench 2. Gabriel Saliba, Burn, Aitner, Senesi. I mean, isn't it too late, my friend? But I would have probably just benched your your Arsenal players. You got to crack. Does Darwin start? No, apparently Darwin's benched for Gakpo. You hope Jackson scores and gets me a green arrow. I bet Solanke's going to kill me, but it's fine. You know, we'll take it on the chin. Just like we did take Game Week 34 in the chin. That was the biggest uppercut I've ever taken from an FPL game week ever. 37 points below safety score. That was different. All right, so that's it. Take care, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful game week. Good luck to you. You know, hits, wild carders, etc. No hits. You know, people who are rolling, I guess, with a magically good team, however possible that is. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Love you guys. Goodbye.